The four large muscles of the quadriceps femoris group primarily do one action. They extend the knee. The cylindrical superficial rectus femoris is located on the anterior thigh and is the only quadriceps that crosses two joints, the hip and knee. Vastus intermedius is deep to the rectus femoris. However, its edge can be accessed if the rectus femoris is shifted to the side. The palpable aspect of vastus medialis forms a teardrop shape at the distal portion of the medial thigh, while the vastus lateralis is the sole muscle of the lateral thigh.
So before we go to the table, let's see the quadriceps femoris group in action. I'm going to ask my partner to just flex his hip a little bit and then fully extend his knee. And there we can see a great example of all the quadriceps engaging. Here on the lateral side, we have that vastus lateralis. Here running right down the top, we see the rectus femoris. And there's that teardrop shape of the vastus medialis. So it's interesting just to note that the quadriceps really fill out the anterior, the top, and this lateral surface of the thigh. They cover a lot of ground. Good, and relax. So now let's go to the table and isolate these. Okay, let's begin by isolating the rectus femoris. So the rectus femoris is that quadricep that runs right along the top of the thigh. There you go. We can see it running from the AIIS to the patella. So let's isolate those landmarks. First, the patella is that really quite obvious circular landmark here right on the top of the knee. Very accessible, easy to get our hands on. And eventually, all of the tendon of the quadriceps will merge onto that common patellar tendon and then attach here at that tibial tuberosity. So those are some landmarks. Then, on the other hand, we have the AIIS. That's the anterior inferior iliac spine. So we know that the ASIS is this prominent bony landmark right here. And to find the AIIS, I'm just going to slide my fingers inferior and medial and work my fingers deep right there. And that's where the rectus femoris attaches. And if I ask my partner, go ahead and extend your knee and flex your hip a little bit, wow, right there, a tendon is attaching right at that point. Good, go ahead and relax. So from there, I can follow that tendon as it becomes a muscular belly right here, and I can even roll my fingers across it all the way down the top surface of the thigh. I can really get my fingers on both sides of that belly. As it comes all the way down, it becomes tendinous here at the patella. So here's our rectus femoris. Now, deep to that is going to be the vastus intermedius. And since I was just finding the edge of the rectus, I'm going to just find that edge right there and work deep to it, sort of pushing the rectus femoris aside. And there I can feel the belly of the vastus intermedius deep to it. And that's one way you can access that fourth quadricep that's buried underneath the rectus, right in there. Good. So we've got the rectus femoris, the vastus intermedius deep to it, and then over here we've got the vastus medialis. So go ahead and extend your knee again. Great. And there we can see that really nice teardrop shape of that accessible portion of the vastus medialis. And here we have the pathway of the sartorius muscle that sort of frames that medial side of the quadriceps. Good. Go ahead and relax. So I'm just going to set my fingers right on this tissue. Quite a bulbous mass right here on the medial side of the thigh. And I can even roll my fingers across its fibers like so. And there it comes right up as it butts up against that rectus femoris. Good. So we've got three quadriceps here, the rectus femoris, vastus intermedius deep, and then the vastus medialis here on the medial side of the knee. And for the last quadricep, the vastus lateralis, I'll turn my partner on his side. So my partner's sideline, and we'll finish with the vastus lateralis. Now, I could ask him to just extend his knee to see the muscle engage, but instead, I'm just going to ask him to contract the muscles of his thigh. Great. And there we can see that really big surface of the vastus lateralis on the lateral side of the thigh. Here we have that iliotibial tract coming right along superficially of the vastus lateralis. There's the tendon of the biceps femoris. But all of this tissue right here is going to be the vastus lateralis. Covers a lot of ground. And here we can see the division between the edge of the vastus lateralis and the biceps femoris, one of the hamstrings. Good, go ahead and relax. So now that I know that all of this tissue here, from the greater trochanter basically down to the patella, is going to be the vastus lateralis, I can just sink my fingers into this tissue and see what we can feel. Now superficially I can feel again that those fibers of the iliotibial tract right here running down the thigh, but deep to it I can feel the very solid mass and fibers of the vastus lateralis that are sort of heading in this direction, down toward the patella. I can feel them proximally up here, again just below that greater trochanter, and then work my fingers all the way down. Finally, I can lengthen the quadriceps by flexing the knee, lengthening out all of these muscles here, and then I can shorten them, of course, by simply extending the knee. Now let's take a time out for a second. That guy had a great set of quads, but chances are most thighs aren't going to be that visually helpful. So what are you going to do? How do you locate the quads on a perfectly normal, regular thigh that doesn't have a lot of visual clues? Well, I would make the case that all you really need is a patella. Because if you can locate the patella, you can already have a very good sense of where the rectus femoris is in relationship to the other muscles as well. So for example, coming right off that patella, right toward that ASIS on the top of the thigh, right along that pathway to the ASIS, right there, prominent landmark, right along that path, I know is going to be my rectus femoris. Then, just medial, in that teardrop shape, just proximal to the knee, is going to be that vastus medialis. And then the vastus lateralis, of course, filling in this space right here on the side of the thigh. And if I ask my partner, go ahead and just kind of straighten your knee so she's contracting the quadriceps. Again, there's not a lot of visual clues when she contracts, but if I set my eyeballs into my hands, I can even close my eyes, there I can feel that tubular belly of the rectus femoris right on the top, really very solidly engaged. Over here medially is going to be that vastus medialis. And then here on the side of the thigh, very nicely contracted, is the vastus lateralis. Good, go ahead and relax. Good, and once you relax, all of this softens. I can even get a sense of that iliotibial tract passing superficial to the vastus lateralis. So even though I can't see anything, I can get a very strong sense of exactly where these muscles are located. And that's what you can do as well anywhere in the body when you can't visually notice something, but you can get a sense of its general location.